all into our meeting, which I know in the just kind of the reminder emails, we've said we're going to be celebrating today, which we are. We are gonna get our brains kind of working before we jump in there, and so we're gonna have some breakout rooms. And the question that I've got for you guys is, what relationship did you engage with? Did you start? Did any of those words you want to use this past month with someone in your city that you think is going to be a helpful relationship moving forward? That could be someone from your city government, someone from your schools, a local public works guy. But what key relationship have you engaged with in your city this past month? Does that make sense to everybody? Cool. So we're going to take like 4-ish minutes or so. And then Jeff, are you able to break us out?
I'm going to give it my best shot.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Go from there.
Okay, here we go. All right. Hey, hope you guys had a good time connecting. Everybody hear me? We're all good?
We're good.
Hey, a couple things here. First of all, Dave Bushnell, as you guys know, he's been working with us for the last year. He's been our city engagement director. He is changing roles on our team. We need to have a strategic plan. We need to have a 1-year, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year. And so he is really good. This is what he does. His day job, in a sense, is helping other organizations, coaching, strategy, donor development. That's what we need as an organization really bad. And so he's going to devote his time to that. So he's not going to be on these calls as much. He's still on our team. We're still going to meet with him. He's going to meet with Danielle and I, and just with me and with our board. And so that's kind of where his focus is going to be honed in on. So just want to give you an update on Dave. You're wondering where he's at. Still same email. You can still reach out to him and talk to him. And he's been a huge asset to us. Okay. So, I sent out a survey about a month ago or so to you all, and just asking these meetings, what do you like? What don't you like? What do we do well? What can we do better? And just some really great feedback that we received. And man, some of the highlights for me was we love hearing from each other. We like the guest speaker. That's fine sometimes, but we really love to interact and hear from each other and learn from each other and really truly be a city leaders community where, because our cities, we're different, okay, but we're not that much different. We all have a lot of the same needs and challenges and joys and all that. So I think I just loved that was probably one of the highest rated thing is we want to hear from each other. We want to be a community. So there's some other takeaways, some other ideas and things that we want to implement throughout this next year, 2024. But I think that's going to be key is breakout rooms and hearing from each other. That's going to be a lot of our focus of these meetings. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to celebrate. We had a number of cities that had a fall volunteer days this last couple months. So we want to hear from them. You guys up for that? Let's hear from some of our fall cities here. Let me see here. We're going to start with Los Alamitos, and Angel is on there. So what we want to do is ask a couple questions, and Angel and everybody else, you got 30 seconds to answer this first question. What are 2 great highlights that you experienced? The next one's going to be, you got 30 seconds. What are 2 challenges you faced, and perhaps how you solve them, or maybe they're not solved. But those are some challenges that we want to hear from you. And then what are some ideas that you can share with that were successful, some things that you did or learned that you can share with other cities that we can learn from you as well. So everybody take your piece of paper and a pen and notes, write some of these things down. I think there's going to be some really great stuff we're going to hear from each other today. So Angel, 30 seconds, a couple highlights from this last fall, or September 15th and 16th, I think, right?
Yes, correct. Sounds good. Okay. So my name's Angel. I'm with the city of Los Alamitos. I'm in the recreation department. So this event is one of the things that I coordinate, but 2 highlights off the bat. We ended up moving our assembly location. So the morning of Saturday, which is our main day where majority of the projects occur, We moved our assembly to a different location than usual. We actually ended up moving it to a local middle school in the area. We utilized their outdoor amphitheater, and honestly, it was pretty nice. It was a better setup, I believe, than previous years. So I think we're going to stick with that moving forward. Just keep utilizing that amphitheater. And then another highlight that we had was that, let me see right here, my notes. So another highlight was that as part of the city, we have this thing called the Week of Los Al. It's kind of just celebrating Los Alamitos. And so this year we decided to do that big celebration all on the same day as our volunteer day. So in the morning, we kind of kickstarted things with, we had a race, a 5K, a 10K, and then it went into our volunteer day. And then after the volunteer day, then we had a whole long, like basically street carnival celebrating Los Alamitos. So it was kind of nice for everything to be all in one day. It was a little hectic, but it just went together really nicely. And I think it was pretty cool for the community just to see everybody like getting active in different areas. So that was for sure a highlight.
All right, two challenges in 20 seconds.
Okay, two challenges. So one challenge that we had was we had this group that was supposed to come out and help for one of our projects, and they were going to fill the majority of the spots. And the night before, they weren't able to make it just because of, you know, something occurred and came up. But we were able to pull in other volunteers and just still knock out the project. So it turned out to be all right. We pulled together, kind of created more unison. And then another challenge that we had is that being that we had our big event all in one day, we had less staff. So we utilized staff for our projects to kind of lead. So having less staff, it was a bit of a challenge, but we were still able to get things done. And we kind of just said, hey, group or whoever is running the project, like whoever submitted the project at their site, they're going to be in charge of leading it. And our staff are just kind of extra hands, and we'll put them where we can. So that was another challenge, but it ended up working out great. So.
All right, one idea that you could share.
One idea. So I think if you can utilize an organization, like it's called Job Challenge, who we use, it's like a youth organization, but if you can reach out to an organization like that to see if they can help, and just kind of like implement and ensure that, you know, you can ensure that they're going to be there for the event. Anytime you can get somebody like that to come in and have those extra hands, it's a huge help just in case other volunteers don't make it and so forth.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Angel. All right, Gina, we're just going to do one highlight, one challenge, and one idea so we can get through everybody.
Okay. Oh, now I have to choose. I think probably the highlight. So I think we had 110 projects total. About half of those were schools. So there are lots of highlights with schools, but part of the nonprofit, I would say the highlight was a foster family. And so we had several different groups going out to foster families' homes and just like tackling a whole list of like, we have this, you know, this fence that's broken and we need it fixed and whatever. But one foster family, they had a ton of yard work. And they actually had gotten a notice from their HOA that if they didn't have it fixed by Sunday, they were going to have to start paying $50 a day. And we came in on that Saturday and the group like totally knocked it out of the park. That was really cool.
All right, one challenge in 20 seconds. One challenge.
Okay, challenge. So projects that ended up being too complicated. And we're continue with 110 projects. We're doing our very best to communicate with each of them, like make sure it's for untrained volunteers to tackle in 3 hours. And there are a couple of building projects that like we probably didn't communicate with them enough. Like that's probably too hard for some untrained volunteers, but God showed up and they were able to do it anyway with volunteers that like came last minute.
You have an idea that work that you saw was awesome that other cities can learn from?
I don't know if Corey is shared. I'm new to these calls, so Corey's been on here before, but I don't know if Corey shared before that we offer business discounts that started during COVID to boost business for businesses in town. And so I think we had like 15 different businesses that we had a sign, you know, we gave them a sign like, hey, we're a business discount, we're city positive, come here, you get a free whatever. And so there was an ice cream shop that we went there at the end of the day and they said they probably had given out 150 free ice cream cones. Wow. So, you know, it's business to them and it's kind of a fun little perk for volunteers. If they volunteer, they get to go use one of these discounts. It's really fun.
Cool. All right, let's go with Sarah from Ventura.
Good morning.
One quick highlight.
Yeah, one highlight. So this is our second year. It was our growth. So last year was our first year. Our goal was 100. We had 188. This year our goal was 250. We had 350 this year.
Wow.
So we've just almost doubled, as well as our projects. So last year we had 10 projects. This year we had 17 official projects, and then we had some other opportunities for people to volunteer the day of and pre-event kind of stuff. So growth was one of our big highlights. One of the challenges, it wasn't a challenge necessarily during the event or leading up to the event, but it's become a challenge for us post-event, is our biggest way of advertising is we use yard signs all throughout town, a couple hundred of them. It's our number one way of getting new volunteers to us. And the city actually has an amendment to an ordinance that would remove the ability to put up any kind of yard signs. So that is something that we're just working through, and how can we, if that happens, how can we shift and get new advertising in new kinds of ways. So that's one of our challenges we're having right now. And then my idea is, some project locations are easy to go to. You know exactly where to show up to. There's one door, there's one entrance, and some are more complicated. And so we wanted to alleviate frustration for volunteers of knowing where to go, where we're meeting up and getting started. So we had enough sponsorships this year. We purchased feather banners, and it's branded, it's bright red with Love Ventura on it. And those, the morning of, before the rally, while the sun is still gone, volunteers go out and put those at specific locations of where the volunteers are meeting up with, and it helps streamline the process hugely. So, and it gave people driving and coming and going a little bit of an eye and more advertising as well.
Great idea.
Hey, quick comment, Jeff, Sarah, get the city to sponsor your event. If it's a city sponsored event, they would allow signage. Potentially Anaheim does that with us. So it's a process you can go through potentially.
And
Thank you.
our city gives us like a special permit. It's about getting the city council people and the mayor are huge. Like if they're on board, they'll make it happen.
Yeah.
You're not advertising a business. You're not trying to sell anything. You're just trying to get volunteers, help your city be better.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you.
Okay. So Gail, Laguna.
Yes, thank you. We were the kind of same as Sarah. It was our second year, so growth was a big focus for us. So we did have over 200 volunteers this year, which was great. I feel like we really zeroed in better on the projects. And one of those, which we didn't have last year, was for a residence. And so it was an elderly couple that is right on a very, very busy corner in the middle of town, and very, very overgrown bushes and trees where they couldn't even get up their walkway. So we had a team go in there and just clear out the whole thing. And so you really saw their t-shirts on the corner, clearing all that out. And we were just happy to have it a residence. And so that word's getting out, hopefully, with the senior community if they need extra help with any kind of, hard labor or type. And then went back and fixed the fence for them. And so it's now building this relationship, which is great, which is what we want to do in the city, seeing that as well. So that was a huge highlight. One challenge was we helped our youth shelter repaint the fence, and all of the high schoolers club leaders wanted to have that be their project, which was really cool. And so they did, but there was a ton of them that were kind of coming and going, and so didn't quite get enough supplies so that everybody was working. But, God is good. And it was the exact time I came by to check and they needed. So we ran to the paint store, got more supplies, brought it back to them. And that way everyone felt, a little bit more invested and could help and have a paintbrush in their hand. So that was really great. Loved doing that. And what worked out really well was like getting those high schoolers involved. We had 2 girls that filmed for us and interviewed the participants and volunteers. And, it definitely takes some time talking with them, but I ended up driving them around to the projects and kind of helping coach them on what was happening and, you know, how to, you know, what to ask a little bit, but they had their questions. They were super organized. So one of them filmed, one of them interviewed, and they're going to put a whole montage together for us, video, and, you know, be from the high school students, and they want to get in film. And so there was just all these connections that got made through that with my friend and whatnot. And it was just so cool, like, to literally watch God put all these pieces together in those few hours.
Very, very cool. All right, Rick and Jamie, Orange.
Hi. Yeah, there's so many highlights. Rick and I are kind of going back and forth, but I'm just gonna stick with the ones I picked really quickly. One of the highlights for me was seeing 5 churches come together that were actively involved with helping do our kickoff festival. We call our rally a kickoff festival. And the whole festival in general was just a really fun time of seeing the city come together. We had a congresswoman there, which was unexpected, last minute addition. We had the mayor there. Just seeing that the whole city was, it felt like the whole city was starting to come together for this day, which was fantastic. But I love seeing the body of Christ helping in different areas of helping us get that going. So it's great because those are ongoing relationships that we've built, and some are new and some we've known forever. So it was a huge highlight for me. The challenge, one of the challenges we found, we didn't realize it until the day of, because it seemed like there was such a buzz about our volunteer day. When our kickoff started, it was like, okay, 8:01, our kickoff starts. 8:05, 1,000 people. We didn't have 1,000, but it felt that way. It felt like such an explosion of people there. And as you can see on the call, Rick is wearing our volunteer day shirt. We color our shirts every year. So you saw a sea of red everywhere. And I was like, oh my word. And so our check-in was a challenge because we weren't prepared for that. We were prepared for check-in. Last year it was very mellow. This year was so many people. We had 315 volunteers. And there's so many things that went into why it was an explosion, which was great. It was a good explosion. So we're working on ways to edit that and streamline it better for next year. So it was great. Overall, it was a really fantastic kickoff and all of that. And then one of the ideas that people to walk away with is one I got from Love Modesto was invite nonprofits to your rally, your kickoff festival, because we did that this year. I left Modesto and went around to nonprofits that Love Orange meets with nonprofits throughout the year in a big group setting. And I sent a message and said, hey, we're having this volunteer day. If you didn't know, please come. Don't sell anything, but you can hand out free stuff. Let people know about volunteer opportunities. Let people know, you know, who you are and what you're about. And it really added to the beginning of the day and really felt hyped up. And the festival kickoff really felt like community, and it had that like a festival. And then we just, you know, the day went good. So there's so many things I could highlight, but I'm trying to speak in the 30 seconds. So there you go.
Well, good. Thank you. All right, Joelle, Love Paradise, 30 seconds. One highlight, one challenge, one idea.
Okay, 30 seconds. One highlight, biggest probably year back since the fire and COVID, volunteer wise. So that was great. Another highlight is we were able to do a project in a partnering city, and a local church down there is considering starting their own Love That City event. So that will be great. Probably our biggest challenge is that our caterer for the lunch at the end ended up in the hospital the night before. So we just had to pivot. So we created some scrambling, but we were so thrilled. We got exposure to so many more organizations this year. And so we're just looking for it to continue to grow. Did I do 30 seconds?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
You're the winner so far. Okay, Lynn, Riverside.
Yes, well, our highlights were we had a kickoff rally again, which we haven't had for several years. And we had a community health fair, and all of that went really well. We had more sponsors, just a real lively morning and day. The challenges were just, I think what Love Orange shared, just the check-in time and all that was a little congested. And then the day was congested and having a lot of moving parts. And so we're going to even be talking about that today at a strategy meeting, maybe dividing it up over the year a little bit more. And then ideas. Best thing I did was hire a part-time event planner. Made all the difference in the world, and it's why we were able to expand our efforts this year. So, but also with that is the ongoing challenge of funding. So great year, good, wonderful energy with everyone present. Half of our city council was there. They always are supportive. So yeah, so we're growing forward.
Awesome. Is that it? Did I miss anybody? That's on the call. right
Me,
now?
but it's fine.
That's
I'm
all.
kidding.
Danielle. Danielle, I'm so sorry. Snoqualmie Valley, bring it on.
It's-
Take as
get
much
outta
time as you
here.
want, Danielle. Take as much time as you want. You got the mic.
Whatever. No. Okay, so one of our highlights. So for those of you who don't know, I'm also a leader here in a local city, and so I serve here. But our highlight was honestly just having a volunteer day. Our first one was fall of 2019, and it's been a wild time since. And so having ours finally again was just like, that was a huge highlight. People came out. It was awesome. A challenge we had was just one of our projects, the communication was just weird between the project leader and the volunteers. And I think just trying to mitigate that as we move forward and just trying to be more clear with him on what that means and I don't know, the expectations, I guess. And then an idea for us was working with our local high school. There's only one, it's giant, but our high school counselor. And a lot of the times the high schoolers are looking for volunteer hours. And so working with her made it really possible to have like a lot more high schoolers come out because they were looking for hours. And so that worked out really well. So those are my 3 things. Hopefully I did it in the 30 seconds.
Very, very good. Hey, I was gonna do this. We're gonna talk about going to breakout rooms, but I think I want to stay us all together here. What did you hear from different cities? What are some things, maybe what's one thing that, or a couple things that, man, this was a good idea, or this was really cool. This was a theme, or something that you want to take with you. I'm just gonna open that up and I just want to hear what you heard, and maybe ask a question of someone, follow up a question with them as they shared, or whatever. This next 10 minutes we got, let's be all together here.
I have a question and a comment, if I can.
Mhm.
We are considering changing our name, and I know this was like kind of a discussion maybe earlier in the year here in one of these meetings, our morning rally from a rally to something else. We kept it rally this year just because that's what we had last year. And ironically enough, we had, when we were working on getting our event insurance, rally was a big bugaboo. They were asking about what kind of speakers we were having, and we had state officials. They were thinking like, a political rally of some sort. So now we're kind of going back to the drawing table of names. So I've got a couple of the names, so I heard festival and assembly. If anyone has any other kind of names, maybe we could put them in the chat or just shout them out real quick. Cause we're trying to figure out how we want to call our kickoff morning.
That's exactly what we call it, is kickoff. Yeah. It works.
It was about, welcome to our political season we're in. A couple years ago, we were using rally all the time too. And on these calls, I've been saying, guys, I think we need to rethink that word. Because we're not some political thing. And so the kickoff, or I loved what Jamie, I wrote it down here, kickoff festival. That's kind of cool. So yeah, so kickoff festival, kickoff, anything but rally right now, I think would be a win. Anyone else? What else did you hear? Any questions you have from the people that presented?
I was wondering on the rally or the festival, because we seem like we had people come from lots of different places, and some people didn't come to the beginning rally because they felt like it was too far to go to the rally and then to go back to their project. Do any of you guys have multiple rallies in your city or region? Or do you still think the best way is just to do one?
I would like to get comments on that as well. We actually because we're such a large city and it takes quite a distance to get to one kickoff place and then get back to a project. I think we're pivoting into a time of celebration after the project.
Yeah.
And foregoing the morning rally and doing a lunch celebration afterwards because of that very thing.
I mean, I hear, cities do it different ways. I think the beauty of this is you know your city, you know what's best, you have autonomy. I think there is a theme here of steering away from the word rally, of course. Most cities do gather beforehand because it's just a time of some organization too, to go to your projects. And it's also time for your city to come together. I know a lot of cities do a gathering afterwards as well. If you can get someone to donate lunch and donate and have a fun, time afterwards. So I think you have some freedom in that. And I think even location, I think most cities do have a one location. Boy, to pull off a couple of kickoffs that'd be a lot of work, but maybe at the larger city, if it's spread out, that might make sense. I mean, I was talking to Fresno about that. Fresno's just really wide and spread out. So that could be, considered as well.
With Colorado Springs, I believe they used to do different kickoff events in the mornings, but right now we have none because with 2,000 volunteers, it's just too much logistically to get 2,500 people somewhere in the morning and then get to their projects. But we do have a citywide worship, which they're not exactly tied together, but the citywide worship is about a week prior. And so that's kind of the gathering of the city. And then on the city serve day is what we call it. So on the city serve day, people are out, but there's not anything that morning. It's just a lot of communication to get to your spot on that day.
Thank
Yeah.
you. This is all really helpful. Thank you.
I think
I
everyone.
think-
Go ahead. Dale.
For us, so we kind of do more of like a regional thing just because we're smaller, we're tiny cities or towns. And I think what has been helpful for us is trying to have our kickoff location in more of like the centralized town, which again, I mean, it just has worked for us for the couple of years that we've done this. And that has been helpful, but definitely this past year, there were it seemed like the communication of meet at the kickoff first, please, was like definitely had to be reiterated a few times just for people who were coming from one end and serving in another. And so maybe that just becomes a communication too of serve closer to where you live. But think it, like Jeff said, I think it just depends on how your city rolls. I love the lunch idea. I think that's great.
If I could just say that I always kind of poo-poo the idea of just for the matter of logistics of gathering people together. But I also would just don't underestimate the value of what the dynamic of a gathering can be together. Even last year, our festival was kind of spread out rather than more condensed. We had some construction issues, so it condensed us. And just the dynamic of seeing all those people and matching shirts and having fun and the music, and it does something to the event. Our city council came back from that event demanding more partnership with us. So the value of that and the value of that energetic feeling, cities are dying to have something that makes them feel good. And if you can provide that, you're going to win, you're going to win some partnerships. So don't underestimate the value of some kind of gathering together where that can happen.
And for all you've been to Modesto, like I just couldn't imagine us not doing that. Like just recognition of sponsors, of all the political people that show up, and just everything that happens there, the media, TV, whatever. It's but it's not the end goal. It's getting out there and volunteering, of course. Anyone else want to share something you heard or question that you have?
Okay, I just have a quick comment if I can. I'm Candace from Love Patterson, and we were just voted Best of Patterson, Best Nonprofit Service Organization, or it put all three things into one category, and we won. And I feel like that's huge because we are still relatively young. And it just shows the impact that a group like this can have on the community. And I just feel like we needed to celebrate that for a little bit. So I just wanted to let you guys know.
Yay, Candace. Thank you for sharing. Super proud of your efforts. Anyone else? You know, one theme that I heard was growth. You know, now that the first year is done, the second year, it's cool to hear some of that growth that's happening. Another thing I did not hear, which I'm super grateful, is that, man, our website wasn't working right or something was frustrating about our website. I think this fall, man, it's so cool to hear that our website, we're getting the kinks out. I mean, the spring, there were some kinks in the spring for some cities, most not, but I'm just grateful that this thing is, and we're all getting used to this website. We're knowing how it works now. And for me, I'm not craving to go back to the old one. You know, I appreciate the old one and I knew it well, but now it's like, I really know this one really well. And I really love maneuvering it and making it work there. Yeah, that was a couple of my highlights here. So, okay. So this Saturday is Love Irvine. So Curtis up in my upper left corner. I don't know where he's at on your screen, but we're going to be praying for Curtis and Love Irvine this Saturday. Want to remind you, most of you have sent in your contract and your annual contribution. So if you haven't yet, please send that in today. I would really appreciate that. Does anyone have any plans, your city and what you're doing for the holidays? Anyone, raise your hand if you have something going on that you guys are doing for the holidays. Hey, go ahead and shout out. What are some of the things you guys are doing here?
Love Oak.
Go ahead.
Okay, Love Oakdale is doing like a small town Christmas is what we're calling it. So last year there was a big call for the town to be decorated. And you know, we used to have a lot of decorations downtown, and so kind of used it as a fundraising opportunity. Hey, you know, you can sponsor a tree, you can sponsor all these different things. And so kind of a way to bring together, you know, the town, kind of get it decorated, bring some of that fun atmosphere, and also do a tree lighting, bring the community together again. So just hopefully the start of something bigger that we do at the holidays to kind of bring the different nonprofits together and that sort of thing, which is the ultimate vision.
Love it. Rick, what are you doing in Orange?
Yeah, we have the tree lighting is on December 3rd, and it's 2 blocks of crafts and games and bounce houses and stuff like that that we sponsor on behalf of the city. This is what earned our trust with the city initially. But the one I wanted to share with you is in the Nativity Grotto in Bethlehem, the flames that have been burning there for about 1,100 years consistently. There's a Boy Scout that's going to go there in a couple days that's going to begin a journey that's going to bring that flame to the United States. It'll take about 150 people to get over to California. And then we have an event at our nativity. It's a kind of a light parade caroling time around our nativity in the circle. And all the churches gather to take the flame home. We do it on the December 22nd so that they'll have that. We're all using the same flame from Bethlehem at our Christmas Eve services. So if you're interested in getting that flame to your churches, let me know and I can make sure that you have a way to get a hold of that.
Very cool. Someone else, raise your hand if you're doing something holiday season. Sarah.
Yeah, this will be our second year doing a project called Share the Love, and starting at our October 7th date was our kickoff for fundraising, and through November. So based on funds that we receive will be how many youth we sponsor. And we work with our collaborative partners, our nonprofits in the area that directly serve families, and they identify families that are in significant need. And so then we work with those families to get clothing sizes. So our main focus is essential clothing to alleviate that need from the parents, but then kids have things to open. So then we have a big shopping night. So we have volunteers sign up to come shopping with me. They get a list, they go, they have a budget, and they come back and I purchase everything. Everything comes back to be stored. And then 2 nights later, we have a big wrapping party. So everything is made pretty with wrapping paper, and then everything's collected together for the whole family. So theirs is in one big Santa bag. And then the next week we have a pickup party for the families to come in, kind of open house style, where they come. We have cookie making stations, we have hot cocoa and Christmas, just a little festival, kind of festive time for the families to come together. And then we have Santa here, an amazing Santa. We have a photographer that comes and volunteers their time, so they get Santa pictures, and then they leave to go home with all of their gifts with also a certificate for, we work with a local grocery store that does those like pre-made holiday hot meals that you pick up and you go home and you rewarm it. So they get a holiday Christmas meal, and then they also get gift cards to a grocery store, not like just a Visa card, but it goes to a grocery store so they can help replenish their pantry. So just kind of a fun time to give back to people in need.
Dude, it's so cool. You know, and just, I know there's more of you guys that raise your hands, but we need to close out our meeting. But that right there and everything we're doing, this isn't just about one volunteer day a year. Are you seeing this happening in all of our cities? Like using your branding, using love, whatever your city name is, or whatever you call it, and all year round, coming up with ways to love on your community. That's a huge win here. Hey, Danielle and I are going to hang on the call afterwards. If you want to have any questions or want to just get some advice or anything, you know, Danielle and I are both city leaders too, y'all. It's not something we did 10 years ago and we're telling you how to do it. Like we're in the middle of it. We're in the weeds too. And it is hard at times, but it's so rewarding. And so we're here for you, and be here for us too, because we all need the support together. Have a great day, everybody. All right. Oh,
Hey, Jeff. So I was contacted by